All right, let's talk Iron Bowl. This, man, the stakes on this game, not the Omaha stakes, the regular stakes, cannot be overstated. The dominoes that could fall if Auburn pulls this upset, which our friends at FanDuel think is possible, it's Alabama minus 5.5 this weekend. If Auburn wins this game, there will be questions about Kalen DeBoer's job security. There will be questions about whether DJ Durkin should in fact be hired as Auburn's head coach, serving as the interim here. I thought he needed to beat Vanderbilt and Alabama for that to happen, but you know what? The ramifications of this game at Jordan Hare, boy, it'd be a vibe that's hard to resist if you're the Auburn athletic director. You would knock Alabama out of the playoff. I don't want to see them anywhere near the college football playoff at 9-3 with a loss to Florida State on the resume. Just like I talked about yesterday, Texas should be nowhere near the college football playoff or even, frankly, a discussion when they lost to Florida and have 3 losses on the year. So there could be a lot of dominoes that would fall. Maybe Kalen DeBoer would decide, nope, this is not for me. Let's get in that old coaching carousel, which is still spinning round and round and round and round and round. It goes. We could have a hire in Corvallis soon. There's been a hire at Colorado State. Of course, James Franklin's at Virginia Tech. We're waiting on LSU in Florida. Penn State is still out there. UCLA is still out there. A lot of options. A lot of options. Speaking of Alabama, by the way, Jamarcus Shepard could be a head coach real soon. Just keep an eye on that. But for Alabama in this game, I don't come on here thinking about this matchup and wonder, is this the week they're finally going to run the ball? Is this the week they're finally going to... No, I have one question about Alabama in this game. Can they win the turnover battle? Notice I did not say, very intentionally might I add, turns out everything I say on this show is... Most everything I say on this show is rather intentional. I did not say Alabama needs to limit their turnovers, but the Iron Bowl has a tendency to just go crazy. So does 6 total turnovers in the game where Alabama has 2 but forces 4, does that feel like it can't happen? Does anything feel like it can't happen in this game? Auburn hasn't beaten Alabama since 2019. Do you know who last beat Alabama as Auburn's quarterback? It was Bo Nix. That's how long it has been. It doesn't feel that way because the last 2 times that they've played this game at Auburn, as they will this upcoming weekend, you've had the 4th and 31 and a 4 overtime thriller. And Alabama has found a way in a pretty low scoring game to win, 27-24 and 24-22. So you look at this game and go, Alabama against Oklahoma struggled with the turnovers, struggled with the sloppiness and execution. Now, Auburn's had those same sorts of problems all season long. It's a big reason why Hugh Freeze is no longer their head coach. Their execution and consistency has not been there. Speaking of which, can I know ahead of time to inform my pick which DJ Durkin defense is going to show up? Because before he became the head coach, and I think this is one of the biggest knocks against him potentially becoming the head coach after getting the interim tag, formerly the defensive coordinator for the Tigers under Hugh Freeze. Once he became the head coach, they went on the road and could not stop Vanderbilt if you had offered him $10 million on the spot. So is that version of Auburn's defense going to show up? Or are we going to get first half defense Auburn that kept Texas A&M to, what was it, 22, 16, 17? Somewhere in that range. A&M we know can score in a hurry and has done so against most of the teams they have played this season. So, FanDuel has Alabama favored by 5.5. And guess what? I am not going to make the decision. I'm going to make Alabama prove it because this just feels like it could be wild. The line is so small, it feels like Vegas knows something. Bama wins by 2. 23-21. 23-21. Alabama finds a way. They punch their ticket to the playoff. I'd have them in the playoff if they win this game, most likely. Most likely. A lot of things would have to happen. I don't think that they would. For those watching on YouTube, you can see in my top 25, I have Bama at 10 coming into this week. meaning if everything holds and everybody wins and there's no major upsets anywhere, Bama would be my last team in as an at-large, and then the ACC and G5 champions respectively would get in for teams 11 and 12, and both Miami and Notre Dame would miss the playoff. That's how I'd do it. That's how I would do it, kind of like Iron Man. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it, and it's worked out pretty well so far. But, of course, I don't influence the College Football Playoff Committee. That is to the chagrin of myself and, frankly, the entire sport. So, another matchup this week that was on my mind. Doesn't have massive playoff implications, but you see, you've got Georgia Tech down there at 19. The playoff committee has them outside the top 20, which at 9-2 still seems a little crazy. I know they don't have hugely great wins on there. The losses are not spectacularly good, though Pitt is ranked as a result of beating them in Atlanta last week. Georgia and Georgia Tech played an absolute barn burner of a game. 8 overtime. I'm hearing reports as I'm recording this show that somehow they just played another overtime game in Athens last year. Or another overtime period, I should say. Darn. Ruined the punchline. Anyway, you get what I was going for. So, Georgia Tech is a pretty sizable underdog in this game. Again, I'm taking the points. Sitting at 11.5 as I record the show according to FanDuel. Do I think Georgia wins? Yes. Georgia hasn't had a consistent tendency. They did it against Mississippi State. They haven't had a consistent tendency to blow anybody out. You know what? No, I'm gonna go against my better judgment here. I'm going to do it. 13.5. I think Georgia rolls Georgia Tech. That Yellow Jackets defense is not good. I'm changing this mid-recording. I had everything lined up. Too many points. Way too many points. And it is my consistent rule of thumb. Take the points in a rivalry game once it's big enough for your score prediction. And I'm not going to do that here. Georgia's offense is humming. Gunnar Stockton is playing at a really high level. Georgia Tech's defense might not stop the Bulldogs all day. I think the over-under for Georgia's punts should be set at 2.5. 2.5 should be the number of over-under punts that Georgia has, and they might go under. They might go under in this spot. So Georgia wins 42-27. They win the cover at Georgia Tech in this one. Should Georgia Tech be in the playoff if they win this game? It's an interesting thought. They'll be 10-2 with a win against the top 5 team in the country. Could they go from 23 to in the playoff? Probably not. Probably not. That weak ACC non-conference slate, not that they didn't try to play good games, it's just that they didn't win very many of them. I mean, you had the Florida State game, but that just kept looking flukier as the season went on. Results still matter. But, yeah, I think that's coming back to bite Georgia Tech right here. So I don't think they can get in the playoff even if they win this game. And Georgia is going to be in the playoff whether they win or lose this game.